Good afternoon and welcome to the Get It Back campaign's virtual training series. This is Salim Lee, the summer EITC outreach intern for the Get It Back campaign. Today we have partnered with the Financial Clinic to talk about embedding a financial coaching model. During this training, the Financial Clinic's team will review the fundamentals of financial coaching, discuss strategies for incorporating coaching in your day-to-day work, and highlight how coaching can impact your program's outcomes. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Get It Back campaign, we are a national effort to promote the Earned Income Tax Credit, the Child Tax Credit, free tax preparation, and other tax benefits for low and moderate income workers. The campaign works with a diverse group of partners across the country, including community organizers, financial institutions, advocacy groups, and many others. We provide numerous outreach tools and resources to help you further your tax credit promotions and free tax preparation efforts. Visit eitcoutreach.org to learn more. One of the resources we make available is the virtual training series, where we feature the work of our campaign partners to focus on effective outreach strategies that you can apply to your organization. And without further ado, let me introduce our trainers for today, Megan Kursik and Erica Davis. Megan Kursik joined the Financial Clinic in April 2017 as the Assistant Director of Partnership Management. She works to expand the clinic's impact through engaging partners in clinic services, including capacity building, the financial security ecosystem, and Change Machine, an online learning, peer sharing, and data tracking platform for financial coaches. Prior to joining the clinic, Megan served in multiple roles at the Community Economic Development Association of Michigan, CEDM. While working at CEDM, she played an instrumental role in launching the City of Lansing's Office of Financial Empowerment, as well as 2 universal automatic child savings programs in the Berry County and Lansing. Erica Davis joined the Financial Clinic in December 2017 as Partnership Associate. She is responsible for sourcing and managing clients for the clinic's services and serves as the welcome committee for new Change Machine clients. Before joining the clinic, Erica worked in different capacities, including as a human capital associate and credentials analyst, program center manager, accountability specialist, and program coordinator. Erica also piloted a self-designed youth development program, Heroes to the Core, where she facilitated 30 second grade students in South Africa through conversations to find their inner hero. And now I will turn it over to Megan and Erica for their presentation.
Wonderful, thank you so much. This is Megan. I'll let Erica say a quick hello as well.
Hi everyone, really excited to be here with you today.
So we are so thankful to the team at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities for providing us the opportunity to present to you all on embedding a financial coaching model. We're also so thankful to everybody on the line who is thinking about financial security and how financial security services like financial coaching could really impact your customers. And so, we thank you for going above and beyond and thinking about that aspect of your customer relationship. And for your time in joining us today. We know 60 minutes out of your packed day is hard to spare, and so thanks for being with us. Before we actually, there we go. I do have control. So before we actually dive into the content for the training, we wanted to start with a quick icebreaker. So if everybody on the line could just take a second to think about a current personal financial goal you have right now. Take a minute to write it down, and then there is a question box. So there's not like a sort of back and forth chat function, but there's a question box where you can share. So if you want to share your goals, please just chat it into that question box, and then I'm going to pause in a couple slides to see if we've got any great examples. But again, please just write down a personal financial goal and then chat it off in the question box if you would like to share. Oh, go ahead. Do we already have some coming in?
We already have one coming in. One person says pay off medical bills. Someone else says retirement goal. Be debt-free in 3 years or less. Another partner says obtain a credit score over 700. There's some great goals in the question box that are popping up right now.
Thank you so much. So I love it. We were thinking, let's give people a little time, but it just goes to show like the relevance of finances and financial security, because you all had your goals ready to go. So some wonderful goals, goals we hear from coaching customers across the country, as well as practitioners we work with. A lot of topics sort of resonated as I was hearing those goals come back. So thanks so much for sharing. Awesome. So we always like to get people thinking about the sort of financial lens, and so that was a really good warm-up activity, and doing so really kind of adding a personal side of things. But that being said, let's get started with the training. So the purpose of today's training is to provide an extensive overview of financial coaching and the different models that it can take. At the conclusion of today's training, you should be able to understand the fundamentals of coaching, understand the relationship between organizational outcomes and financial coaching. We'll help you learn about several strategies that you can use to begin coaching or to build upon existing programs that you have. And then also identify some immediate resources to help you get started. So how is the training going to work? Just some housekeeping items and to walk you through the agenda. So we've already covered welcome and introductions. And then we're going to start with what is coaching. We'll do a definition, and then specifically what's the clinic's approach to coaching. We'll move into some ways to put coaching into practice. Just starting in your day-to-day, how can you begin to implement a coaching approach? And then we're going to conclude with a walkthrough of a few different coaching models, ways to think about the specifics of how coaching can work in your day-to-day, and we'll close with some resources and next steps. We want to cover a few housekeeping items. So as we dive in, you'll notice just a language thing. So the clinic refers to customers, like many nonprofits refer to clients. So customers, when we say customer, we're meaning people receiving a service. We're often receiving financial coaching service or a service like workforce development support, housing support. And then we're mentioning resources and tools throughout the training. So they will be available to you. We have a link to a mini toolbox. And so a lot of the tools we reference are in that mini toolbox. You can download it now. It's in the materials section. But we're also going to be sending a follow-up email with some links to additional information. And then finally, this training is meant to be interactive. We love participation. And so, please make use of the activities to sort of pause and reflect. And then, utilize that which we saw you all are ready and willing to share. So utilize that question box to be able to share your answers as we go through various activities. So now I'm going to give just a little history of the financial clinic, and then it will be the moment you've all been waiting for, which is to dive into our coaching content. But to kick us off, so the financial clinic is a 13-year-old nonprofit. We are based in New York City. However, interestingly enough, Erica and I actually work remotely from Detroit. So we're actually joining you from Detroit today. And we are a nonprofit whose mission is to help working poor people achieve financial security. We're working toward a vision of a nation where everyone is financially secure. And so currently our vision is to help 1 million Americans reach or build financial security by 2020. So we do this through a multi-pronged approach. We started out as a direct services provider, providing one-on-one coaching to families in Brooklyn. We expanded our service area to the entire city of New York. We have a few select projects where we, for a short period of time, will do coaching in other cities as well. But a real sort of next step to achieving scale in our mission is through the next 3 areas of work. So we have a capacity building team that can provide training and technical assistance to extend our framework and our coaching model to other organizations across the country. And so you actually will see some of the stats at the bottom, but we've supported close to 500 organizations, trained nearly 3,000 practitioners in 42 states, so really quite active across the country. We have quite an attention to data and tracking impact, and also recognizing trends that are happening on the ground with not only the clinic's customers, but customers of the folks that we've supported in the field. And so with that data and with that qualitative information about the customer experience, we have a team of folks focused on research and policy application. So digging into what data on our customers and customers of our partners sort of can show us in terms of movement forward when it comes to then policy advocacy, potential innovations around products, as well as best practices and really ensuring that we drive forward strong financial coaching practice. And then finally, Change Machine. So Change Machine is an online platform, and it's an all-in-one tool to help practitioners embed a financial coaching approach. So Change Machine includes a community of practice that's accessible all online, a training tool that's self-paced and extends our framework to license holders. We have a customer toolbox, so customer-facing tools that you can download and use. And then Change Machine also includes data management. Great, so that takes us through introductions and background, and I am now going to hand things to Erica, who will take us into the meat of our content today, starting with what is financial coaching.
Thank you so much, Megan. Appreciate it. And I'm really excited to get the chance to walk you guys through this content. I think it's something that's both extremely feasible, but also when you get this different perspective on it, it definitely can become something that's really interesting and effective in your everyday service. So let's jump right into things. We're talking about what is financial coaching. So to start, let's think about the phrase financial coaching. The clinic believes that coaches are facilitators or supporters. Facilitators are experts at process, not content. We believe that customers have the solutions needed to thrive and progress. The coach facilitates the process so the customer can arrive at and implement the solution. With financial coaching, the focus is on improving long-term financial behavior, facilitating customers to set and achieve financial goals largely on their own, and helping customers practice new behaviors while providing assistance and accountability with those behaviors over time during the course of a relationship. Financial coaching develops an individual's skills and ability to translate financial knowledge into improved everyday financial behaviors for meaningful and long-lasting change. The financial clinic's approach to financial coaching. So here at the clinic, we believe that the best way to tackle financial insecurity is through financial coaching. Our coaches support a customer-led process that identifies the goals, motivations, and action plans that best keep a customer on track for building their financial security. Our approach is built around 6 financial security content areas and 6 characteristics of coaching that have been scientifically proven to facilitate customer success and program outcomes. Our financial security framework, also known as those 6 key content areas, are goals, assets, banking, credit, debt, and taxes. These 6 focal points have been identified through research and analysis to be the most prominent and essential areas for customers to make the most improvement upon their financial security. Or it can be the place where they experience the most financial barriers. To put it simply, it's the make or break point for most customers. With these content areas in mind, our financial coaching approach aims at identifying goals and creating the financial habits necessary to achieve them. The clinic strives to increase financial security for its customers through effective coaching strategies and techniques that embody 6 characteristics. Our coaching abides by financial goals as a driver. This is where we encourage coaches to discover what is driving the goal by asking open-ended questions and using visioning to help customers set action-driven goals. You're using this goal as a way to utilize their hopes and dreams as the catalyst. That way, they're propelling themselves towards success. You also want to understand the components of the goal, understand the underlying reasons and the long-term impact that this goal could have on a customer. You also want to be able to really ID some of the action steps that are going to help them and what the trajectory is going to be by using a tool called an action plan. So some of you may actually use this in your work already, but if you don't, we actually do have some really great tools and worksheets that you can use to develop action plans. The next characteristic is accountability. Invite positive, lasting behavior change through creative solutions, clearly defined actions, and mutual accountability. Coaches should serve as a resource, and they should also serve as a facilitator of the process for the customer, allowing the customer to come up with their own steps and their own solutions, but having a check-in partner so that they can make sure they're actually on track. Expertise. Provide access to correct and update financial knowledge and tools. Coaches also want to be judgment-free. Make sure that you're utilizing empathy and active listening when working with your customers. This will build an honest coaching relationship so that anytime you're having a session, the customer feels like they're in a judgment-free zone. Next is strengths-based. Coaches should empower their customers to tap into their personal strengths, especially when problem solving. And last but not least, customer as a change agent. Act as a thought partner for customers, choosing the right path for themselves. Make sure that you're an active participant in their journey. These 6 characteristics of coaching allow coaches to meet a customer where they are and understand their bandwidth, capabilities, and values. Acknowledging the customer for who and where they are provides an opportunity to solidify a strong and successful coaching relationship. By establishing this relationship, the coach also promotes engaging interactions that lead to deeper understanding of the customer's goals, positive customer successes, and stronger outcomes for both the program and the customer. The clinic's model for coaching is built around the premise that a coach's support and facilitation of the process is much more likely to result in a change in behavior that extends beyond a single instance. One of the ways that we're able to do this is through action-driven goals. Action-driven goals are what we like to call asset-oriented, forward-thinking, and passionately held. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what exactly that means, right? Well, here at the clinic, we believe that if we break a goal down and understand the root of it, we can then build the goal to encompass these 3 components. So let's talk about asset-oriented. This refers to helping a customer refocus the attention on underlying reasons that they have the goal. What's the long-term impact? What does achieving this action allow the customer to do? Here's an example. A customer comes into you and they say, well, I want to get out of debt. Well, why? What does this let the customer do? The answers will lead to asset-oriented goals. So we're going to look past, I want to get out of debt, and we're going to look forward to, well, I want to get out of debt so that I can be a U.S. citizen, or I want to remodel a room in my house, or let's establish an emergency savings fund. Next, forward thinking. Help your customers target positive forward thinking goals and guide their attention away from the common backward thinking goals. For example, cleaning up bad credit. The bad credit is an obstacle to their goal, and the credit cleanup, if you will, is a strategy to achieve that goal. If we refocus on the why and the impact, then we will allow for forward thinking goals such as buying a home. Passionately held. Commitment to achieving one's goals takes passion and sacrifice. Customers are more likely to stick to a strategic plan if they feel passionately about their financial goals. So let me help you get a better picture of this. We're going to walk through an example of implementing these 3 focuses and shifting a customer's perspective from a deficit mindset. In a moment, I'm going to give you a scenario. I want you all to tell me what are some questions that you can ask based on what we just talked about. So you're going to use that question box to generate some of those questions, and share with us here in the group. Here's your scenario. Lydia comes in for a meeting. She tells you that she wants to pay off her credit card. So, based on what we just talked about with asset-oriented, forward-thinking, and passionately held components of a goal, what are some questions that you can ask Lydia? Try to think about how you can uncover some of the reasons that she might want to pay off her goal, or pay off her credit card, sorry. Go ahead and type your questions into the chat box if you'd like, and we'll take a few seconds to give you a moment to think. Awesome.
All right, we have received a few questions from you all. Shannon says, what would paying them off allow you to do? Rita says, why is it that you want to pay off your credit cards? Sharon says, how much in credit card debt do you have? Diane says, what is your end game in mind for paying off your credit card? Okay, Yvonne says, what are you working towards achieving? What drives you?
Those are all really great examples. You guys are right on the money with that as well. Thank you so much for sharing your questions with us. So you guys have Lydia's goals in mind. You're thinking forward with her. You're looking at the asset-oriented and the passionately held aspects that we were talking about. And I definitely would be right on the same page with you. So I'm actually going to share with you what I would do if Lydia was one of my customers. So if I were to ask questions, I would come up with the same questions that you guys came up with. And as you can see, there's two of them here. So what will paying off your credit card help you do? And why is this important to you? Then based off of that, we would definitely be able to see Lydia's responses. And based on her responses, it might elicit the need for us to actually do some follow-up with her, right? So as you can see, Lydia's responses are, well, I want to lower my debt and improve my credit score. And then why is this important to you? She says, I want to be able to afford more things and do more. So immediately my thought would be, I'm going to follow that up with two other questions. So what does an improved credit score do for you? Or afford more things like what? And do more things like what? Now that we're getting to the root of things, we definitely want to give her the opportunity to start to uncover her underlying intentions, which is that asset-oriented piece that we were talking about, and also to try to get her to start thinking forward. So her responses are, well, I want to buy a new car and I want to get a better job. So take a moment to think about that for a second. And now I'm going to ask you 3 questions. So you're going to take a moment to answer these 3 questions. If you feel like sharing them in the chat box, you can, but I'm going to kind of go through the whole thing just so you can see the big picture. But I want you to think first about what Lydia's financial obstacle really is. Then I want you to think about what the strategy is that Lydia has identified as a solution. And then I want you to think about what's Lydia's underlying reason or goal overall. So take a quick second to think about that. Jot down your answers and we'll come back in about 5 seconds. All righty. Hopefully you were able to get your 3 answers down. So let's see if you're on the right track. What's Lydia's financial obstacle? It's going to be credit card debt. She came in and she mentioned that she wanted to pay off her credit card because she wanted to improve her credit score and she wanted to be able to do more. So if we think about Lydia's strategy for solution, she told us right in the beginning when she came in, I want to pay off my credit card. And then her underlying reason or goal, she wants to buy a new car. So based off of this information, sorry about that, my screen just froze. Based off of this information, A great goal to set for Lydia would be buy a new car. This goal allows her to attain an asset that improves her quality of life, helps her think forward, and focus on something positive. And if she truly believes it will help her get a better job, then she's likely going to be much more passionate about doing what it takes to achieve this goal. And so that's how the components of a goal come together. By focusing on the components of a goal, coaching will become more effective and have a deeper impact on customers. Now, you may be saying to yourself, this is great, but how do you know that it works? Well, through extensive research and analysis, the Financial Clinic has been able to develop a well-structured financial coaching program, as well as a plethora of resources and tools that are helping organizations reach their outcomes while allowing customers to achieve long-lasting financial security and successes. Those were developed with our financial security framework, those 6 content areas that we talked about, as well as those 6 characteristics. So here's how we make that happen. Let's talk about driving your impact with coaching. Our confidence lies in adopting financial coaching practices that can drive impact at an organization. Embedding coaching strategies into day-to-day work can help customers to develop better behaviors that build financial security, independence, and meaningful outcomes. The best way to get started with financial coaching is to begin to incorporate it into your current workflow. Think about financial security barriers that your customers may face. Then consider why these are barriers for your customers. Where in the programming process does this come up for you? When you're speaking to your customers, is it something that comes up immediately when you see them? Is it something that comes up once you've actually started doing applications for specific things? Think about some of those tasks. What might be the solution to help overcome these barriers? And is there a part of your process that can incorporate this solution? Identifying solutions that fit into the daily work task should also be centered around facilitating behavioral change for empowerment. These behavioral changes should specifically elicit empowerment through knowledge and skill building. So perhaps it's sitting down and creating a spending plan for your customers. Perhaps it's teaching them how to save on a consistent basis. Both promote knowledge as well as skill building. Identifying and addressing these financial barriers with customers can advance their individual progress in the areas for which they came in to see you, and it can overall positively impact your organization's outcomes. So let's take a dive really quickly into some tips, tricks, and strategies that will help you develop your coaching approach. When working with customers in any capacity, some of the most effective tips and tricks to build strong relationships and effective outcomes are as follows. Active listening. Focus on what the customer is saying and framing the meaning of what is said in the context of financial goals. Use silence. Give customers time to think before offering a response and be comfortable with silence while customers collect their thoughts. Reflect. Do not be afraid to repeat back key words and phrases to help customers know they are being listened to and to also build trust. Summarize. Synthesize common themes or patterns in the customer's goals and plans, focusing on areas of improvement and growth without being judgmental. Ask. Ask open-ended questions, allowing customers to reflect and explore new insights, all while refining or affirming their personal financial goals and intended actions. Look forward. Focus on future goals and plans driven by the customers, keeping customers from dwelling on the past and instead focusing on their strengths, options, and what to do next. Accountability. Hold customers to measurable goals with specific deadlines, helping customers practice self-discipline, modify goals when appropriate, and celebrating successes when they occur. Using these tips and tricks to your advantage will definitely help in mastering the art of financial coaching. So taking a moment, let's go back and start thinking about financial barriers again. Many of you were able to fill out a pre-registration survey. And so what we wanted to do was take a moment to go over some of those answers. As we all know, barriers can vary across a number of demographics, such as regions, populations, and age. Many of you are doing this work, and you're doing this work with all of these different demographics. So what we were able to see was a trend in these specific areas. Insufficient income to meet expenses. This was definitely something that a lot of you shared, especially in the way of having a lack of living wage jobs. So people aren't able to really pull the or remove the gap between the expenses for surviving and then what they're making with their jobs. Also, insufficient income based off of fixed income. So populations being served such as senior citizens or even individuals who might be experiencing unemployment or any other fixed income situation. And then, of course, as always, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, the high cost of living. It's just expensive to breathe these days. So in particular, a focus on housing. We all know exactly how expensive it can be to keep a roof over our head. Some of the other barriers that came up were high debt, as well as a lack of emergency savings and challenges that in managing debt, or in credit, challenges in managing credit. And what I wanted to share with you all is that we here at the Financial Clinic have worked with a number of different people, as you saw in our stats, and these are actually very common throughout many of the organizations and partners that we're working with. So you are not alone, and this is work that is completely feasible. The one thing that I want to stress to you guys, and it's important to note, is that you do not need to be a full-time financial coach to help customers become financially secure. Many of the service providers who engage in financial security work are often providers for other programming elements, such as housing or career and workforce development. Some people work in the reentry area or work with undocumented individuals, as well as domestic violence victims. The financial barriers experienced by these individuals are universal, and so those who need these services are often having their needs addressed within the parameters of the program's processes and requirements. They're also receiving these services from someone who does not have the extensive background of a full-time financial coach. So as we move forward, I definitely want you to keep this in mind, specifically as we begin to talk about coaching types and strategies. There are generally two types of coaching. There's a one-on-one coaching, and then there's what we like to call light touch coaching. One-on-one coaching is a singular deep dive into an individual's personal financial situation, and there's usually customized, facilitated strategies to address the specific needs of that individual. One-on-one coaches tend to work on more complex financial cases as well. Light touch, on the other hand, allows a coach to use standard general first step activities to address financial barriers that arise with the customer they are working with. These activities help to facilitate simple strategies and solutions in a quick, effective way while embedding them into current service delivery. If an individual's case is of a complex nature, they often refer these individuals out for more individualized support. Many who engage in light touch approaches use the following activities to help their customers overcome their financial barriers and get on the right track towards reaching their goals and success. Some of those activities include tracking expenses, identifying goals, developing a spending plan, calculating financial transaction costs, pulling and reviewing credit reports, calculating total debt, analyzing tax refunds, documenting tax history, and referring to free tax prep. So in thinking about some of those financial security barriers that you all shared, such as housing and managing credit, as well as high debt, some of these activities would be perfect for addressing those. And all you would have to do is think about exactly how you can incorporate them into the work that you're already doing. Perhaps if you're meeting with someone who's in a housing crisis, you could easily sit down and begin identifying goals with them right there in this session. If it's someone who's managing their credit, maybe it's helpful for you to pull a credit report and review it with them on the spot then in your work. Each of these strategies can be embedded into the work that is already being done to achieve your organization's outcome on a daily basis. It may take a bit of strategizing and trial in the beginning to find the best integration, but ultimately the results will show the fruits of the labor. Now let's talk about putting it into practice. As you start to understand and employ financial coaching approaches, you can practice the following 4 steps. Explore and discover financial security building strategies that fit into your own work. As I just mentioned, learning what tasks you do on a daily basis and becoming familiar with some of the solutions that your customers need is an easy way to start learning how you can integrate. Also, try new strategies and keep what's effective. Don't be afraid to throw something out if it doesn't work for you. Share your findings with other staff members and incorporate some of their best practices. 2 heads are better than 1. What someone else is doing, don't be afraid to borrow that from them and see if it works for you. And last but not least, add to your program's process by embedding these into your service delivery. It's definitely going to make your work a little bit easier, likely more effective, and help you achieve some of those outcomes. So now that you've received a few activities and strategies for implementing financial security into your work, here's your chance to brainstorm. Take a moment to reflect on your current daily tasks and service delivery processes. Think about what you do on a day-to-day basis. Think about the people that you serve, and think about what it is that they need. Try to identify 3 ways that you can incorporate financial security into your current work. Please feel free to share your strategies in the question box if you'd like. We'll take and share a few of them. But I want to give you this opportunity to really sit back and think about what 3 ways can you incorporate financial security into what you're already doing. So take that time right now.
Rose says financial empowerment workshop.
That's a great example. Great strategy. Lots of our organizations actually utilize that strategy right now.
In addition to financial empowerment workshops, Rose also has career closet. I'm not sure what that is.
Maybe we can chat with Rose a little bit and find out what that is. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move forward here, but I hope that you had enough time to get 3 strategies down or at least get them started. I want to thank you for your participation, and I hope you've been able to start thinking about your own personal coaching approach. So now I'm going to hand things over to Megan to talk about getting started on your coaching journey.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Erica. So let's get to our next slide. There we go. I'm back in control. So thanks to Erica for walking us through the clinic's approach to coaching, specifically with some tips and tricks for how to embed coaching principles, including using financial goals as a driver of your customer success, really how to embed these principles into your day-to-day. To conclude our session, I'm going to walk you through some simple steps to getting started. So now that you've got your brainstorm of 3 financial security services that you may want to embed with your service delivery process, what are your next steps beyond that? So we recognize that the group joining today comes from a range of experiences. So based upon answers in the registration questions, we have a number of folks who indicated they don't have any experience right now in financial coaching, but are strongly interested in exploring ways to get started. We also have people who represent organizations with long-term coaching programs in place, and then folks really everywhere in between, from being ready to about to launch a financial coaching program, and some folks with a little bit newer of programs and baby programs, like 1 or 2 years old. So the steps outlined here may fit or may not fit sort of for you at your current time, but we really see these steps as part of a trajectory that organizations move through as they explore, develop, and implement financial coaching programs. Really, I think about ways that you can even interact with the groups on this webinar, groups in the tax credit campaign group, and learn from each other, understand, folks who are a little more experienced. How could you maybe learn from them as you begin to embed coaching work? As we think about that trajectory, a great first step is to understand what resources are already available in your community. There may already be strong financial coaching programs in existence, and they might just be a phone call or an email away from your customers to set up an appointment. So as you're thinking about embedding light touch coaching, you may have a referral point for customers to be able to access full coaching when needed. I think it's really important to have that sort of toggle between light touch embedded with your work and access to full-time coaches when needed for more complex cases. Also, just sort of in your community, there may be local funding entities like community foundations or United Way who have resources to support organizations like yours to offer either light touch or full financial coaching. So it's great to know who those local funders are. You may be able to actually access a monetary grant to get you started or to even further a coaching program already in existence. But oftentimes those types of local funders will also offer in-kind support, like free or subsidized training. And then finally, there might be internal resources. If you are part of a larger organization, maybe there's multiple financial capability services like financial coaching already being delivered by other departments or program areas. So really assessing how you're working with some internal resources and providing referrals across is important as well. So as you explore community resources, and as Erica so strongly outlined for us earlier, also examine your current service delivery flows and customer experiences. What types of financial barriers are most commonly coming up as hurdles for customer success? And where in service delivery flows do these obstacles surface? What types of financial security services might help alleviate these burdens? So once you've sort of identified the resources and where in your service delivery process financial security services could be most impactful, you can begin to solidify integration of these services through light touch approaches by your staff, and then referrals to internal or external financial coaching programs, or a combination of the two. So reach out to those internal or external coaching entities and inquire about partnerships. Streamline referrals to these services at timely touch points in your service delivery process will be most likely to ensure customer participation and customer achievement in a coaching relationship. Also consider the opportunity to do light touch activities directly, and think about several questions as you're sort of going through that process. So what training will your staff need to be able to then begin to deliver financial security services? Do you need support from an organizational development perspective? So support identifying strategies of embedding financial security with your business model. So looking at things like marketing and outreach, job descriptions, fundraising, how you're measuring impact and mission or mission achievement. And then finally, how are you going to measure what embedding financial security means for your broader outcome goals? So identify a way of tracking and measuring that impact over time. So finally, as you explore the opportunity to develop your light touch services, you may also want to think about developing a full coaching program. So there's multiple models out there. Field leaders have developed coaching models to fit various contexts. So for example, several financial clinic partners provide coaching through a volunteer-based program. So you can actually connect with some volunteer-based program models to see if they might work in your context. You can also hire and train full-time staff to be financial coaches to meet the demands of your customers. This especially will come up for folks that begin to provide light touch services, may start identifying a portion of customers with more complex challenges who need the support of a full-time financial coach. And so that may be the decision point when you decide to actually bring coaching in internal and have either a volunteer-based program or a full-time coaching program. Now the clinic also offers training and support in our proven coaching model. It's a model that's been field tested through a randomized control trial, and multiple other national intermediaries offer training in financial coaching as well. So great places to sort of go if you're beginning to think about starting a financial coaching program, or you want some supports for a program already in existence. So as you explore your next steps, we encourage you to reach out to us. So Erica and I specifically, our role at the clinic is to help people think about this work and whether or not some of the supports we have at the clinic could be useful to you. But we also often connect people with other intermediaries and partners and various resources that will help get you going. So we would love to talk with any of you who want to explore your options. So now for some immediate resources. So a fun sort of exclusive offer. We're excited to offer anyone who's on the webinar today a chance to connect with the financial security field at no cost. So the the clinic's Change Machine platform includes an online social network that connects a community of practice with more than 1,100 individuals from across the country, folks doing full coaching, but also folks in this light touch space. So you can connect with them, connect with that community through a free 1-year community license to Change Machine. So we're going to be sending a follow-up email. Look out for that email because we're going to share a link for you to be able to sign up for your free account. And then next, if you're interested in exploring some of the supports that the clinic can provide you beyond that free community license, please reach out to Erica and I. We're going to include in that email follow-up a link to connect with us. So some of the things you can walk through with us is first, the demonstration of Change Machine. Is the full Change Machine platform something that would be of benefit to you? And then finally, the clinic recently launched our Transform framework. So from the first steps of understanding how your participants' financial insecurity affects the success of your mission, to leveraging programmatic data and analysis into more impactful services and advocacy efforts, the Transform framework can support you in embedding financial security activities with your organization's existing programs. So we're really excited to now have Transform ready and out there for organizations across the country. And if you connect with Erica and I, we'll be able to walk you through how you can access that Transform framework. And then finally, a very immediate resource, and maybe some of you have already downloaded, but we are excited to offer you our Change Machine mini toolbox. So there's a toolbox on Change Machine. It's got 165 different tools that you can actually use with your customers. But we're giving you access to, at no cost, access to a mini toolbox. So there's, I believe, 7 different tools, one in each of our financial security areas, and then some extra tools on goal setting and action planning, and they are available through that mini toolbox. You can download the toolbox right now through the materials section in the webinar toolbar, but we will also be sending a link to the toolbox out in our follow-up email. Great. So I'd like to sincerely thank all of you for participating in today's webinar. Thanks again also to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities for providing us this opportunity. We hope that this training has given you a clear understanding of the clinic's approach to coaching and also how to begin to embed financial coaching in your work. Financial coaching can be tough, but oftentimes it can be one of the most rewarding parts of the work as well. So we hope that you walk away from this training understanding a few different learning outcomes. So first, coaching is all about being a process expert who is supportive. The customer is the driver of the relationship and the goal setting and the action planning, but you're the process expert. You're the person who's helping to facilitate movement toward their goals. Coaching can also and should be integrated with the work you're already doing. So find ways to identify financial barriers and then solutions that work within the processes and tasks you already have in place. And then finally, meet your customers where they are. Use empathy and understanding as key to helping your customers facilitate their own success. Great. So thank you again for your time. And at this point, excited to open up to questions. I believe you will be chatting your questions to the question box, and then the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities team will read them off to us as they come in. So really, again, thank you all for your time, and we're excited to get some questions coming through.
Yes, thank you so much, Megan and Erica. So like Megan said, if you have a question, please type them into the question box, and I will turn it over to Jenny for the Q&A.
Awesome, thank you. Just as a reminder, we will be sending folks a copy of the presentation. You'll be able to watch it again and access our notes and the handout later on, when we'll be sending that within a week. So got a few questions to get us started. First, how can we get customers to focus on finances when they find the financial challenges they are facing stressful and overwhelming?
Yes, common question. So we go back to those 6 essential elements of coaching and really the goal as the driver. So it's uncovering where the customer wants to be, what vision they have for their life and their future, and then helping them to set a goal related to that and then break that goal down into steps. So it's really about making finances just a part of getting to where they want to be. So no one's, sitting there like, man, all I ever want to have in life is an, 850 credit score. But they are thinking, I want to be a homeowner. I want to go back to school. I want to send my kids to school and have a little bit to give them one day. And so, grounding yourself and your conversations around finances is just a part of the steps along the way to customers achieving their broader goals in life. Is really how we see this being something that customers can really appreciate, find as relevant. You also, take advantage of knowing who your customers are and why they're accessing your services. So if you're providing workforce development program, for example, customers are coming in and they are gung-ho about getting a job, right? And so getting a job, there's financial aspects to that job than really being able to make a difference for you, right? And so, as you're working on skill building and, soft skills and applying for jobs, securing employment, have you checked your credit score? Some employers are checking credit score now. Do you have a bank account where once you start getting that paycheck, you can direct deposit and not have to pay any money towards check cashers? So, really thinking about the long-term goals of your customers, how financial action steps are a path to achieving their goals, and then capitalizing on what you already know about them. So whatever programs they're in, you can also kind of, again, workforce, get a job, housing services, find a safe and affordable home, whether it's renting or owning, and really utilize knowledge of that sort of end goal as a step to add in financial steps along the way as part of getting there.
Awesome, thank you. So when it comes to measuring the success of coaching, what does that look like?
Yeah, great question. So the clinic measures success. We have outcome goals in each of our 6 financial security areas. So we look at specifically around goals, our customers achieving an action-driven goal. And in Change Machine, we actually have a tool that allows you to do that, to document a goal, track a goal, and then track when that goal is achieved. And then we also have an outcomes framework that focuses on behavioral outcome goals in the other 5 areas as well. So in credit, we're tracking credit score, but we're at base sort of monitoring changes to credit and how many customers are able to improve their credit score. But we're also looking at steps along the way. Are they cleaning up their credit file? Do they, regularly, or, at least once a year, or come back to you every few months and get an update on their credit, and they feel comfortable about where they sit? I think it's really important to recognize that at the end of the day, what's most important is customers getting to where they want to be. But then programmatically, you may have specific areas that you value or want to focus, or you feel as part of driving towards your mission. And so we have outcome goals in each of the 6 financial security areas that are part of the clinics framework. But I do think it's really about sort of taking a step back and thinking about what you as a program, you as an organization most value, and then determining your outcome metrics for that.
Great. Megan, thank you so much for answering these questions. And thank you to everyone for all the participation today during the training. There's been great participation, great answers, and we've really enjoyed hearing what everyone is thinking today.
Yeah, once again, thank you to Jenny and also Erica and Megan for such a wonderful presentation. It was very insightful, I'm sure, for all of our participants. And we truly appreciate both of you and as well as the participants for sharing your time to kind of provide effective resources and strategies to our participants across the country. And as a reminder, the recording of this webinar will be released within a week along with additional training resources. And thank you again for tuning in to the Get It Back campaign's virtual training series. And make sure to check out our website at eitcoutreach.org for resources and tools to help your tax credit outreach activities. And we look forward to connecting with all of you in the future. This concludes our training today.
Thank you, Megan and Erica.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
all
for having us.